Hello, Planet Earth.
Hi, honey.
Welcome to my YouTube channel. I'm Preston L. Young.
And I'm Tüz.
I'm back.
And we're wishing you warm salutations and congratulations as always.
You've made your way to the Buffyngton Post.
You are invited.
Today on the Post, we'll be doing another episode of
History Buff.
We have to talk to you.
And today we'll be covering the second arc of Buffy the Vampire Slayer Season 8. It is No Future for You.
And it's all about faith.
Faith, faith, faith.
Gotta have faith.
Because you gotta have faith, the faith, the faith. I gotta have faith, the faith, the faith.
Mind if I come in?
We are going to change up the format a little bit. We're going to do an overview of what goes on through the entire 4-issue arc, and then we will go back and give you kind of the punchlines of like what's going on in each issue, just to try and like slim down the time a little bit.
And give you more information and less page-by-page action.
Exactly. Because apparently that takes for fucking ever for Editor Preston to edit.
And Editor Preston does not like to sit up in late nights with his coffee and page-by-page wordplay.
Yeah. Editor Preston's kind of an asshole.
Yeah, he is, but you know what? We love him. He does things for us.
He's a swell guy. But anyway, so yeah, we've got 4 issues here. The first issue is No Future for You, Part 1. It's got a lovely cover of Faith, and we've got the classic Buffy the Vampire Slayer logo. But of course, she has graffitied her own name to it to cover Buffy's, and so it's Faith the Vampire Slayer.
Which kind of points to how it's all about Faith, this arc.
Exactly.
You ready?
So ready.
You're so ready.
Hysteria, the world Histeria. We dare ya to watch Hysteria. Prepare ya for hilaria. They love it in Bulgaria. Hysteria, we declare ya. Be aware ya. The laughter's gonna marry ya. We swear ya. It's Hysteria. Get set for Hysteria.
And so, basically, what happens in this arc is, Faith is living in Cleveland. She's kind of living off the grid because, of course, she is still a convict on the run. Remember, she broke out of prison?
Yep, and she's just not, she's kind of doing whatever she can to get by, as how convicts are wont to do.
Yeah, like...
Stay under the radar, but still make a living.
Yeah, and we're not really sure how Faith is making a living. I don't know how she gets money to pay for this, like, shitty apartment that we find her in, but... Suffice it to say, she has an apartment that's kind of shitty in Cleveland. So throughout this arc, we basically have Faith. She's living in a shitty place in Cleveland, and Giles comes upon her to say, hey, I've got a job for you, and if you do this job for me, I'll give you some money and a brand new passport and a brand new identity, and you can go and just, like, live your life being somebody the fuck else. But the thing is, like...
There's a catch, and the catch is she has to kill someone. Not a vampire, like as wont to do, but something she's done before in the past. And if anyone can guess what it is, it's killing a person.
Yeah,
with a
person.
beating heart.
And not just any person, it is another vampire slayer, which kind of goes against everything that we tried to do at the very end of Buffy.
Vampire Slayer genocide is what...
No, homicide.
Yeah,
Genocide's
sorry.
when you go after, like, a whole bunch of people.
Well, yeah, homicide then.
Yeah.
Yes.
So, Faith is recruited to kill this vampire slayer. And this particular vampire slayer is actually a royal. She lives in England. She has, like, actual blue blood. So, Giles, like, my fair lady's Faith, they go over to England, and Faith infiltrates this girl's, what is it, her 19th birthday party, I think?
Yeah, it's her 19th birthday party.
Oh, and her name is Genevieve Savage.
Yes, okay, so she finds her at her 19th birthday party, and weirdly enough, they sort of hit it off, but Genevieve's teacher slash wizard, who we come to find out later, kind of almost killed her before the friendship could be made. But Genevieve kind of realizes, hey, look, this girl's like me. We did a little tete-a-tete, and I want her on my team. So Faith wakes up and she's trying to figure out what's going on after she got roundhoused by the wizard's goons.
And it turns out that Faith and the wizard... It turns out that Genevieve and the wizard, Ronan... wasn't his name Ronan?
Yeah.
We'll talk about it later. Anyway, so this Irish motherfucker and Genevieve, their master plan is to
Kill Buffy.
To kill Buffy so that Genevieve
Buffy.
can be like the new queen of the Slayers and they can literally live at the top of society. So, Faith is
blown away.
And the thing is, like, Faith thought that she was solving this problem that was like a real big problem for the world, but really, Giles has only recruited her to stop this chick from murdering Buffy. And so once again, what is it, Tüz?
It's all about Buffy.
It's all about Buffy.
And it's Faith just trying to clean up the past so Buffy can lead the way.
Alright. So Faith is like kind of stuck in Genevieve's like manor, and she's like trying to convince...
Play this facade, yeah. She's
facade
got a new
that
name. She's Genevieve's girlfriend, and her name is not Faith, it's Hope.
Right.
That's what Genevieve calls her, is Hope. And they're all buddy-buddy, and they all see eye to eye on everything. And Faith is trying to talk Genevieve out of going after the Slayer. Well, the wizard is the one who kind of got her onto the Slayer's trail, Buffy, that is. And she's like, look, you sure you want to do this? And she's like, oh no, I definitely want to do this. Right.
And so we have this whole dynamic between Genevieve and Ronan or whatever his name is. And it's very reminiscent of the dynamic between Faith and the mayor back in season 3. And so Faith is saying, this is a red flag, this is a red flag. But of course, Genevieve, just like Faith back in season 3, she's like, oh, I can take care of myself. This guy, he's
I've got it totally under control is what she's thinking.
Yeah. So meanwhile, we got all this stuff going on with Buffy in Scotland, and whatever, she gets teleported from Scotland into Gigi's manor.
By the wizard, and they try and sneak attack her. Well, while Buffy's trying to fight off Genevieve, who's got this wicked ass sword to destroy her, she's like, oh, whoa, no, this isn't how it's going to go. And she starts battling it out with her, but Faith sees that Buffy's kind of on the losing end right now because of the sneak attack, and she jumps out to save her. Well, as soon as Buffy sees Faith, she calls her Faith, and Genevieve is like, whoa, facade broken. And anyway, her and Faith hop out the window because Faith pushed Buffy out the window, and they have kind of this battle royale in the pool talking about how Buffy feels that Faith is betraying her, but Faith is trying to tell her for once that she's actually done what she's supposed to do and had her back and was trying to avoid this whole situation. But no matter what, it feels like Faith's always the bad guy and Buffy's always the good guy, no matter what the circumstances are. So she got a little upset, tried to drown her. But
Just for a second.
But not before Willow called her ass back to the other side of the world in Scotland. And Faith's sitting in there in a pool all by herself. So the first thing Buffy does is whip up the phone and call Giles, because Faith was like, Giles is the one that sent me here. And she's like, you're a liar.
I put my money
I
on you.
ask the questions around here.
So she calls Giles, and what does Giles say?
Giles is like, girl, stay out of this. I don't want you involved in this at all. And Buffy's like, oh shit, like, life is shitty. We'll talk about it. But
she feels like her father figure pretty much betrayed her ass, and she was asking for Willow's help because while Faith is stuck in this...
Well, Giles is asking for Willow's help.
Yeah,
right.
Giles is asking for Willow's help.
Yeah, and there's like all this magical protection around Genevieve's estate.
So no extraction can really be made for Faith, because the deal was for her to kill her that night at the birthday party and then just dip out.
Right.
But that didn't happen because of circumstances, and now he's sitting outside this magical force field with some golem trying to break in, and it can't be done, so he needs Willow's help. So Buffy's sitting there all butthurt, gives the phone to Willow, and they formulate some way. Well, now Genevieve's stuck with Faith,
and she's gonna kill Faith because she thought that Hope was her friend, and she's like, I thought you were my friend. And so Faith and Genevieve like battle it out, and Faith is like, look dude, you're totally misguided. This dude is trying to lead you down a weird path and spin
Primrose
you.
path.
Yeah, and spin you all the which way around. So fight, fight, fight. Shit goes down. Faith
Accidentally.
accidentally kills Gigi.
She throws her onto a knife, but she didn't, for her defense, she didn't realize the knife was there when she was throwing her.
Well, I mean,
Sorry, a battle axe.
yeah, it was a
Battle
great big
axe.
battle axe. And
Stuck in a
so,
tree.
like, she, to be fair, she knew it was there because Gigi tried to kill her with it.
Well, she apologized. She was like, oh no, once she realized that the girl was about to lay on the battle axe after she'd thrown her.
She was like,
Anyway, she's dying. She's
and
dying so hard. And what does this wizard do? He's like, oh, I put my money on the wrong horse. You're obviously the queen of the new Slayers. And Faith is like, what the F-bomb? No, I'm not the queen of the new Slayers. You just got this girl killed for basically no reason.
And she smacks him with his own book, and then he like does the spell to like make the earth like get around her and suffocate her to death. But then
Willow, who was meanwhile in the background on the phone with Giles, found a way in, and all you see is Giles stabbing him from the behind, and then Faith throws him this book, and he starts reading this spell, and the wizard's like, oh, you didn't know I could break all my own spells? And he's like, yeah, but I put the force field inside your body. So the force field blew up inside his body, and it was confetti wizard.
I'm done.
yeah, it's pretty gross. And so the issue, or the arc rather, ends with Giles and Faith deciding to like leave the fight, because the thing is, like, Giles and Faith, they both have like these dark pasts, and they have like this whole world of Slayers out there, but it's like, where do they fit into it? Like the middle sister Slayer and the Watcher that's kind of in charge of like thousands of Slayers instead of just one. And so Giles and Faith decide to go on the road basically and help these girls that are like Gigi, who have all of this power and don't really know where to put it.
The background Slayers, the ones that have yet to find their true calling for good, that don't know that they're Slayers yet, or
No, it's just
yeah,
like the Slayers who, like Faith and like Genevieve, are tempted to use that power for things that are immoral or kind of amoral, and
Yeah.
they basically take it upon themselves to reach out to these girls and be like social workers to the Slayers.
I need your help to stop swiping.
And that's how No Future for You is. Like, that's no future for you. And so we're gonna go through the individual issues and kind of give you the punchlines about like what matters, what is kind of thematically important.
Absolutely.
Cool beans.
Everything from start to finish.
And so, of course, we do open with Faith in Cleveland, and she is she's quoting "Oh, the Places You'll Go," the Dr. Seuss book. And we see that even with shoes in your feet and brains in your head, you can still end up in Cleveland, and Cleveland's just kind of a shithole. And so we get Robin Wood, who like hooked up with Faith, and it's whatever, and he's calling her in the middle of the night. She thinks it's a booty call. It's not. He wants her to go and take care of this this woman's children, that this nest of vampires that he and his Slayers have dusted. Now these children, there's kind of a sad twist to it.
Yeah, they've all been turned by their vampire mother, so she had to go in there and stake all these kids. So, needless to say, that probably put Faith in a place, but the reason he called her was because he didn't think his Slayers were ready for it, so she wiped them all out. She comes back, and she's kind of pissed. She's in that shitty apartment we were discussing earlier. There's a lot of holes in the wall where stakes used to be, and there's Giles waiting for her with this mission about going to England.
Yeah, and so Giles tells her all about it, and so then we pick up with Genevieve and Gigi, as we call her. She is out on this fox hunt with this warlock guy, and basically it's not a fox hunt. They are on a Felicia the Vampire Slayer hunt, because this chick comes out of the woods, and Gigi basically kills her with one backhand smack. And she's the thing about Genevieve, she's very, like, elitist, right? Mm-hmm. So, like, the whole idea is, like, Genevieve, she is royalty, right? Like, she has, like, if enough people die, she could actually be Queen of England. Like, she is in a line of succession.
She doesn't see it as an obstacle. She just sees it as something to overcome.
Right. And so, like, the idea that Genevieve wants to put herself at the height of society comes from this idea that she already is kind of at the height of society. But now that she has all these superpowers, she's being convinced by this dude that she deserves to actually rule the fucking world and not just, you know, her little piece of England.
Not only that, she has something that other women don't have, vampire slayers don't have, which is the money and the means to do that.
Exactly.
And to climb on top of people, because that's what they do. And what would yet be another way to be queen of the vampire slayers than to crawl your way to the top, as it were.
Especially, it's not a far crawl if you're already, like, very close to the top.
Absolutely.
And so she sees this other slayer that she kills with one backhand slap as just a filthy little commoner, undeserving of her power.
She wasn't worthy.
Right. Because she's not royalty and whatever. And so we get with Giles and Faith, and he's kind of giving her these etiquette lessons and, like, teaching her about, like, fancy dress parties and all this good stuff, right?
Because she needs to infiltrate this party.
Mm-hmm.
So anyway, there's this whole thing where Giles is trying to talk to her, and she's really not taking the lessons to heart, and he grabs her because she's trying to walk away. Anyway, she has this flashback of horrible memories from her childhood and stabs him with a fork.
Well, it's not even her childhood. It's like the other day, like yesterday, when she was having to go after these vampire children.
Yeah.
That was very good. We were, like, totally in sync.
Thank you.
And so we find out, like, she stabs Giles, like, in the arm, and he rolls up his tat. Or he rolls up his
tat?
sleeve.
He rolls up his tat sleeve? He rolls up his sleeve, and he finds this tattoo, and she's like, oh, I didn't know you were bad, Giles. And he's like, yeah, there's a past, and people have one.
Yeah, and so this is the mark of Igon. Like, you remember back in season 2 where we found out that Giles, back in his teenage years, he was all, like,
a devil worshiper,
summoning demons and stuff,
yeah,
and
because
all this.
He didn't have nothing else to do.
Right. And so, like, Giles and Faith get on this level where he's like, you're not the first person who in your youth decided to, like, rebel against, like, the fucking machine of life or whatever,
yeah, and
right?
You won't be the last either.
And so this is the first time we really actually acknowledge the fact that Giles and Faith can really relate. Like, he is responsible for people dying, or for one person in particular dying because they were, like, playing around with these forces that, you know, should have been.
He knew were evil, but didn't really care because he just wanted to go against the grain.
Exactly. And we'll get into that more in season 9 of Angel and Faith, but, like, the idea is, like, Giles and Faith, they are responsible, like, they are responsible for people
their mistakes,
dying in the past. And this is something that Faith was never really, like, privy to, and this is where we see that they can really, like, work together and truly see one another in a way that, like Buffy and Giles, there's this very, like, she's the daughter and he's the father, right? And if anything, like, when it comes to Faith and Buffy, or Faith and Giles rather, it's like he's the stepdad and or, like, absentee uncle.
Yeah.
Right, and so
he's a male figure, not the role model.
Yeah, and so this allows for them to be more peers than teacher, student, or
yeah. There's not
father-daughter.
more familial bonds and more as a friend bond. You know, I can never look to Preston like a dad. You know, he would be
Right.
more like a friend because we relate on certain things.
Yeah.
Just to kind of put it in, I guess, perspective.
Right, or like with our mutual friend who's a friend of your father's, like, you wouldn't really see him as a dad per se. You might see him as, like, an absentee uncle, but more as a peer than as a
an equal
an authority figure.
Yeah, absolutely.
Right. So then we pick up back in Scotland in Buffy's castle. And now here's the thing. Genevieve lives in this grand estate, and she's got all of this money, and she basically lives in a fucking castle. And now you look at Buffy, and she lives in this grand estate, and somehow she has all of this money, and she lives in a literal fucking castle. And so there are parallels to, like, Genevieve is paralleling not only Faith, but she's also paralleling Buffy. Buffy has all of this, like, real
It's all
world
material,
power.
material items, but she's parroting Faith versus her mental state and how she feels.
Exactly. And so we pick up with Buffy and Xander. Xander is, he's training, he's practicing with the punching bag because he and the Slayer that he has a crush on and who has a crush on him.
Sparring partners, and she's like, yeah, right, sparring partner. He's like, whoa, don't think of me like that. I'm just being her friend, but we both know how Xander rolls. He tries to get in the friend zone.
Well, he tries to get in every fucking Slayer's pants. He tried to get in Buffy's pants. He literally got into Faith's pants, or I guess Faith more got into his pants because she was like, I'm taking your virginity, bitch.
Yeah.
And, you know, Kendra, she had like a crush on Xander. For the 3.5 minutes that she was alive. Sorry, Kendra. How you doing? And so, like, Xander has this thing for Slayers, whatever. Buffy and Xander are talking about this weird Twilight symbol. What does it all mean? And Buffy's been having these weird dreams, and in the dreams, there's this weird fucking winged lion griffin thing with like a.
It has a mane of fire.
A mane of green fire on top of all that, and it has a snake tongue. And she's saying that. The queen, in the dream, the thing is telling her the queen is dead, long live the queen. So what's it all mean? We don't fucking know.
Just listen.
So we shoot back to Giles and Faith, and they pretty much completing what I'm going to call their training core. And she's wearing this really elegant dress, and they're getting ready to go to this party to kill Genevieve because we got to knock her out.
Yeah.
So she can get this pardon and get back to reality or whatever she wants to do.
Right, because she's got this like new lease on life that's coming to her. Oh, and we have this real cute thing, like that's the David Tennant doctor from Doctor Who, and his blonde. What do they call him?
Sidekick.
They call them something like companion. I think they call them companions in Doctor Who. I'm not a Whovian. I don't Who.
I like Doctor Who.
And so the funny thing is, she's like, so how we doing here? And he says 5 by 5, and he can't really believe that he's actually my fair lady Faith. Faith lady.
She's looking very lady-ish. So we're jumping into the part 2 of No Future for You.
And it's the cover is Giles and then like My Fair Lady Faith. So
and she's looking pretty darn good in that dress.
And so this actually starts with a flashback to the big fight
scene with Buffy and
on
Faith.
the balcony at the end of season 3, where Buffy goes to murder Faith to feed her to Angel, which is totally wrong. We don't murder teenage girls to feed them to our boyfriends.
Our vampiric boyfriends at that.
Exactly. Like, this is something that people argue with me all the fucking time about. Buffy is a murderer. She is a premeditated murderer. It doesn't matter that she didn't actually kill Faith. She went there to kill a teenage girl. Buffy is all like, I'm just a girl. I'm just a girl. But somehow she thinks it's fucking cool to go and just because Faith made, admittedly, some really bad decisions. Just because she made some bad decisions. It
doesn't give her the right to take a life. I see your point there.
Exactly. It does not make Buffy superior. It does not give her the right. Because if Buffy sees herself as a teenage girl, how is she looking at Faith? Like, just, it's fucked up. And Faith is thinking about all these things. She's like, so this is what friendship is. It's about, like, you meet somebody, we're super cool together, you think that they've got your back and it's ride or die, and then everything goes to hell. And fucking, they try and fucking kill you. And that's how Faith is, like, looking at her relationship to Buffy.
And then you realize you feel better solo all along.
Exactly.
So we had this little, alright, after that, she's standing out at the party and she's like, alright, live and learn. So she's about to walk in, and Giles is on this sweet, like, really old microphone, and he's, like, talking in her ear. He's like, look, I'll walk you through everything. We've got this. And the first thing she does is pop that earbud out of her ear and throw it in the bushes, like, look, I've got enough voices in my head. I don't really need you. So she gets to the line. They're asking for her card or her invite to get in, and she pretty much cusses the dude out, like, how dare you? What do you think this is? Like, I don't have to bring a guest to get in here. And he's like, oh, yeah. She's definitely one of them. Go ahead and let her through.
And what I really like about this is it really does kind of bring up the fact that, you know, despite what, like, how much we've dealt with Faith, we haven't really dealt with the fact that she has real PTSD. Like, she has PTSD. Like, we saw her, like, with the flashback and Giles trying to grab her and, like, the vampire kid trying to grab her. Like, Faith is mentally unstable, and she's
stuck on anxiety mode.
She tells herself, like, sorry, Giles, but I've got too many voices in my head already. And so we're really kind of deconstructing this this idea of Faith not necessarily being in control of her faculties and how much trauma she's really gone through and not dealt with. And really this arc is all about Faith kind of dealing with the trauma of everything that she's been through the relationship that she forms with Genevieve.
Yeah, so what she's doing right now is just trying to keep the voices at bay and keep herself together so she can get through this mission and get to what she wants as the ultimate goal.
Right.
So she's standing in line because this girl is a fancy party and we're going to have a line.
There's this giant receiving line.
I mean, you'd think that you were waiting for a line at a freaking roller coaster ride at Six Flags. But she's got a little surprise gift of her own. And it's a dagger that doubles as a hair decorative in her bun.
Right, so she's got this hairpin that she's gonna just stab her in the fucking heart with and be done with it and run out of the party, right?
Yeah, so anyway...
Oh, and Genevieve is a cunt. Like,
Yeah.
she's not just a murderer. She's an elitist asshole who thinks that everybody should be on her time. There's this long line of people coming to, like, give gifts and, like, what the fuck ever. And she's like, this line's too long. I want to be done with this. Why are you people fucking here to celebrate me? Blah.
Hand me your name cards and be on your way.
Exactly.
So, anyway, up in the balcony, you see this guy, Wizard is what we've been calling him.
Mm-hmm.
He's got his two goons, which are gargoyles, if we haven't mentioned. He's like, keep an eye on that girl, the fourth in line, which is Faith.
Dun dun dun. So, yeah, he's looking at Faith and he's like, there's something wishy-washy about her. So, back in Scotland, we've got Giant Dawn, and I love Giant Dawn. It's so funny. So we got Giant Dawn, and of course Willow's like finally back and not all like shackled and like being teleported back to Sunnydale and all that shit.
She's actually, I think it's kind of funny because in the first arc, she was like, I wish Willow was here so I could talk to her about my problems. And now Willow's here so she can talk to her about her problems. Anyway, it's really funny because Dawn's like trying to find something to eat, and she's picking this apple tree.
And she's just throwing apples like they're fucking sunflower seeds.
Like
shit
they're
like
Skittles in her damn mouth. He's like, ugh, blah, 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 blah.
But they're like, proportionally, they're like Pop Rocks almost.
Yeah, I mean, that's really what they look like. She's hungry. She
They're
got
chia seeds. That's it.
One eternity later.
So Willow's talking to her about how, like, what kind of spell, what was his name?
Kenny, the thrice wise.
Yeah. What kind of spell was he saying while they were doing the do? And she's like, oh no, he didn't see me like that, and da 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 da. And Willow's pretty much trying to calm her down, saying, look, you know, obviously he did something that wasn't normal, or else you wouldn't be a giant person. And she's...
Oh, so she says, oh, I missed you, Will, but the truth is, and fucking here comes Renee to keep the truth from coming out. So we got this whole,
sorry
like...
to interrupt,
Yeah. And so, Buffy has sent Renee to go and fetch Willow to, like, set up some security system shit.
And she's like, I've already set the force Willow. She's like, no, like security, like with... She needs computer Willow, not witch Willow. And she's like, oh, here I come.
Get your ass down here!
Right. And so, so Willow and Dawn kind of talk about, like, you know, I can't believe we're fighting the U.S. government. These are, like, humans. Like, what are we actually supposed to do if we come into blows with, you know, fucking humans? And Dawn says, hey, all's fair. Like, they're coming after us. We gotta protect ourselves. So, it's a whole thing.
Time to get buck wild.
Back to Faith.
Back to Faith.
Mind if I come in?
Alright, so she's outside the party. Obviously, she didn't kill the girl. She's on the balcony smoking some cigarettes, and she's trying to contemplate life, thinking about, like, look, I'll go in there and kill her after this cigarette. And she's like, maybe I'll smoke this whole pack first. And then someone comes behind her and is like, can I bum a fag? And she's like, yeah, you can bum whatever you want, whoever you are. And she turns around, and it's Genevieve.
Yeah, and so, so Genevieve and Faith...
She's totally thrown off by this, is what I really wanted to talk about. Like, wow, she's sitting here, she's trying to deal. She's like, man, I was about to go in there and kill her. And me being lazy, waiting around smoking my cigarettes, she's actually been drawn to me.
Right.
So here they are, and she's, Genevieve starts talking about this concert she wants to be in, and...
Oh, there's an Amy Winehouse concert
yeah,
in town.
an Amy Winehouse concert in town, and Faith is like, I love Amy Winehouse. I would get... So they're like teeter-tattering, like, oh my god, I do too, let's relate.
Oh, and so So we talked in the last video that we did about the idea that Faith is like the middle sister. She's like the middle child. You've got Buffy, and she's like the big sister, and she's like in charge, and she sets the fucking rules and all this good stuff. And then you've got all these new Slayers, and they have this thing that like Buffy can't get to, right? Like Buffy can't experience that thing that they all share, like, because she gave it to them. Like, they all have this sense of connection and everything, but Buffy
They have a leader. She didn't.
Right. She's the leader. Like, follow the fucking leader. And so, like, they have this connection and this sense of solidarity with one another. But Buffy is, like always, she feels very much alone. And then you've got Faith, and she's not one of these new girls, but she's not the woman in charge. And so, like, where does she fall? And so while Faith and Genevieve are outside smoking and kind of connecting over music and all this good stuff, and how lonely it feels to just, like, be a fucking person.
Yeah.
Genevieve says, "Are you sure we're not sisters?" And she says, "Who knows, maybe in a different," and before she can say a different life and pull the dagger out of her hair to kill this bitch, she gets flung up by something or other, and I never noticed that her cigarette just goes flying.
with smoke and all. And it's one of them gargoyle things. It just snatches her up.
It's both of the gargoyle things.
I'm
This dude
sorry,
is
it's
not
both
playing
of them.
around.
It's both of the gargoyle things. And they start chomping on her ass, and they just start smashing her up, okay?
Yeah.
But she smashes back, and she ends up killing both of them.
Oh yeah, she
I mean, it's
just
a wicked
handles
fight
these
scene
things.
for 2 pages, but she gets them back.
Yeah, and it's
Anyway.
fucking cool. She gets the gargoyles to smash into one another, and that's what fucking kills them, and it's boss.
Yeah, but she's down for the count right now, ladies and gentlemen.
Well, she's not down for the count until, she handles the gargoyle majiggers, and then she gets a spell
magic
cast upon her.
Right,
Yeah.
to knock her ass out.
And Genevieve was like, holy shit, like, how did she do that? So, Faith wakes up the next morning, or she's like coming to the next morning, and she hears, what is his name? Is it Rowan or Ronan?
I've been looking, and
It'll come up in the next issue, I know. But anyway, so this mofo and Genevieve are talking, and he's like, I don't think it's a good idea for her to be here. And he's like, nah, dude. Or she's like, nah, dude. She's a Slayer. She's like me. She can help me. And she's royal, because this character, Hope, that Faith is playing, is
portrayed
like a fellow
upon
blue
her.
blood.
Yeah, but she's given her the idea that she doesn't know anything about her because she just decimated these gargoyles. You know, she worked with what she was dealt. Now, the gargoyles, in their defense, did not realize that she was a Slayer. They thought it was Joe Smo, and they thought they were going to be easy to kill. And she's like, oh, wait, no, she's totally like me.
Right,
She
and
doesn't know what she's doing. I have someone I can mold into like minds.
Because I want to help.
So Hope wakes up, and she's like, look, I'm going to take care of you.
Oh, you're
I'm
a
gonna show you-
Slayer. We're
you're
all
a Slayer.
connected to this, like
Like,
higher
have you been
power
having
and
these
stuff.
dreams? I can explain everything.
And all we
I'm-
have to do
is kill the queen. And she's like, you want to kill Queen Elizabeth? And she's like, oh, hell no, I don't want to kill Queen Elizabeth. I'm talking about Buffy. And she's got all these pictures of Buffy, and of course the Twilight symbol, which is like a hump, and, you know, a star. It kind of looks like a star coming over Twilight.
right.
And that's how we end part 2.
And so the third issue, the cover is not, like, happy.
Yeah, it's pretty despairing.
We have Buffy, or we have Faith, more specifically.
Mm-hmm.
We have Faith, and she is drowning Buffy, and she looks very not pleased. She's really putting some elbow grease into the strangulation. Yeah,
Oh, no, definitely.
yeah.
Bye, Felicia.
So when we come into part 3, she's saying her.
Her.
And this is kind of a monologue about how Faith it's always about Buffy.
And it super is. Like, it's always about Buffy. And this goes back to what we were saying earlier about
But
how, like...
she's the middle child.
Well, no, not just the middle child, but how she's Buffy's the favorite. It's not just that she's the middle child. Like, this whole arc is about Faith, but it's not called Faith the Vampire Slayer. It's called Buffy the Vampire Slayer. None of this is really about Faith. It's all about Buffy.
Buffy Summers. Buffy Summers. Buffy Summers. Buffy.
And what she's realizing is, like, it really is all fucking about Buffy. It's all about Buffy. Giles didn't want to stop this girl from taking over the world. He wanted to stop her from killing his sweet, dear Buffy.
and she's just kind of blown away by it. She doesn't know really what to do, and she's like, man, we can't let her do this. And she sees what she's saying right now in this monologue is that it's Faith right before, you know, she's like, oh, we're gonna kill her, I think everything's doable. And she pities her. She feels bad for the girl because she sees this guy pretty much egging her on, like, this is what we need to do to kill the Slayer, we're making preparations. And she's like, whoa, 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 like, and all she can see is herself in the past begging to be stopped, like, before she hurts anyone or hurts herself.
Exactly. Like, all of this stuff is, like, Genevieve is saying she doesn't deserve to have this power. Like, can you believe that the source of all of our power is called Buffy? Like,
yeah.
Really? Like,
she deserves to be assassinated, is what she says.
And Faith is like, no. Because the, like what you're saying is, like, the idea is Rodin. Oh, not Ronan or Rowan. Rodin.
Rodin, like rodent, but without the T.
That's so smart. I never would have even. Oh, he's a little rat. More rats to come. Because Amy, you know.
Yeah.
Yeah. So yeah, basically, whatever, Genevieve's parents are, like, super absent, and Hope will actually deal with Faith's parent situation in season 9 of Angel and Faith. It's super fucking good, whatever.
Angel was good.
But
spoiler alert for me.
But yeah, so we also give off the idea that Hope also has, like, absentee parents who don't give a fuck what she's doing. So, like,
yeah.
Basically they've got this whole house to themselves with Rodin, the ratty warlock.
And she's just keeping up her facade. She's like, well, your parents let you stay the night? She's like, oh yeah, my dad doesn't really give a shit about me. And I think she was really kind of talking about how Giles doesn't really give a shit about her.
Mm-hmm.
You think you matter, you think you're a part of something, and you get dumped. And it's like the whole world is moving, but you're stuck. Like those animals in the tar pits.
Back to Giles on the next page.
Yeah.
And he's over here at the extraction point because the whole deal was she was going to kill this girl and dip out in the woods and meet him. And he's like, hey, Faith, wake up. Trying to still talk to her on the walkie-talkie that she threw away a couple pages ago. Last episode, as a matter of fact.
So he's out there with this guy. I don't know what. We don't really know what he is.
We're calling him a troll because he's got a beard.
He's a very small stature. He seems to be almost like a tree man. Like his I don't know if his hair. I don't know if it's just that his hair is green and he's old, or if he's like barky and mossy.
Yeah.
He looks like he's almost like his flesh is made of bark and his hair and stuff is like made of moss. It doesn't really fucking matter. He's got this hammer of Thagnar or some shit like this, and he's trying to break through the force field, but it's not fucking working. And Giles is like, I don't know what to do, but we got to get her out of there. And
she might be in trouble. And he's like, well, what if she's gone native? What if she's doing the other side?
Yeah, and it looks like she might have, because Faith is living in a goddamn lap of luxury.
Because she is on the next page sitting in this bubble bath, not by herself, with this other girl, because you can fit 2 girls in this bubble bath, okay? And they're sitting there chit-chatting, talking about...
You can fit half the goddamn Slayer army in that tub.
You can fit probably like 6 people in there, really nice. So she's like, she's talking about what changes she would make when she became, and then they both said, she's like, well, what kind of anthem do you think I should have? And they both picked the same song, ooh, Wonder Twins. And she's like, oh, we're kindred spirits. I knew I made the right choice by keeping you on my team. And then Faith like starts feeling that guilt trip, you know, because she's supposed to be really there to kill her. And she's like, yeah.
So the whole idea is that, like, according to Rodin's book with the Twilight symbol. Oh, by the way, so Rodin, he's like this warlock dude, right? And so he carries around this book all the time, and the book, the cover of it has this Twilight symbol on it. And according to Rodin's book, the way that they can, if they kill Buffy, who is like the source of all their fucking power or what the heck ever, then the nightmares will stop, like the Slayer dreams that we saw Buffy having in issue 1.
It's a total fucking lie.
Well, we don't know because, I mean, like, spoiler alert, Buffy doesn't die. But
oh, wow. She's only died twice in the real show, and she's come back. I mean, it's not Buffy the Vampire Slayer. It's not the Vampire Slayer. It's Buffy the
So,
anyway.
so the idea, like, Gigi's master plan is, like, she won't be plagued by the nightmares anymore. And oh my god, this totally fits in with what the fuck is going on in season 12 right now, but that's for another day. Viewer feedback for season 12 coming Saturday, before the final issue of Buffy the Vampire Slayer as we know it, which is a whole other thing. But anyway, so, yeah, the idea is they kill Buffy, the nightmares go away, and then the girls will have, like, real autonomy, and she will lead them to, like, take their place at the height of society.
This is actually kind of where Faith is attempting to pick apart at the dream. She's like, is he really selling you their golden sack? You know, I mean, are you sure it's not just a bag of seeds? And she's like, oh no, like, he's totally doing what I need him to do, and he's looking out for me. And she's like, oh look, well, there's this guy I knew back in the day, aka the mayor, and he was feeding me what I thought was a bag of gold, and it was really just a bag of seeds. And she's like, oh no, you know, women with power, old men are drawn to us, and
I got it.
We've got wealth. And she's like, look, you should just really reconsider this battle tonight, because that's what he said, get preparation for tonight's battle. And she's like, look, I appreciate you caring about me and everything, but I've got this. And when she said that, I believe Faith felt like that was her in that moment. She felt like she had everything together. The mayor was on her side. No one could touch her.
Right.
And she got touched in all the wrong ways.
Ooh, and right in the fucking gut. Because Buffy murdered her.
She didn't murder her. She stabbed her. She didn't die.
Right. But in Buffy's mind, later on, when, like, because, you know, she stabs Faith in the gut, and Faith is like, oh shit, you did it. You killed me. And Buffy's like, oh, yeah, I kind of fucking did. And
she feels guilty about it.
And then Faith jumps off the roof. She fucking gets swept away by this truck that she fell into, so that Angel's still gonna die. And Buffy goes to Angel, and she's like, the only way to cure you is for me to, like, feed myself to you, like the blood of a slayer, whatever. And he's like, well, Faith, I'll just kill that teenage girl, right? So Angel is on the same page. He's like, I'll eat Faith. And she's like, I killed her. Buffy believes that she has killed Faith, and she's fine with it. It sucks that Faith got away, but, you know, she went there to murder a girl, and then she believed, in her mind, she murdered Faith. But that's not the problem. The problem is Angel's gonna die. So Buffy's kind of a shitty individual. Like, there's a reason why Buffy and Faith don't get along. And Faith but, you know, Faith and Buffy, it all seems like it's water under the bridge or whatever. And Faith goes, please, don't go after this girl.
A girl could die.
So, back with the girl in question, Buffy.
Scotland.
Yeah, so in the Scottish castle, the actual Scottish castle that Buffy lives in with Xander and this army of slayers, Willow is setting up all this, like, super high-tech security system that costs, like, a lot of money.
A big mystery question comes into play, and Willow's like, so, where did we find all the money to do this while I was in the other place? And
Buffy's basically like, well, you know, Giles and what's left of the Watchers Council have, like, really rich friends, but they want to remain anonymous. But yeah, we're getting all of this money, like, in a super legit way that's totally cool, but we can't really say where it's fucking coming from.
All that we say and do is right.
Yeah, so pretty much is like, just know the money's flowing in, and I'm not telling you.
Right.
So they're sitting there, and she's like, okay, whatever, and they're discussing about their next mission, and the next thing you know, bam.
Well, yeah, they're like, Buffy and Willow are finally going to talk about the fact that, like, we're at war with the humans. What the fuck's going on?
Yeah.
And Buffy's like, oh, well, we'll just deal with that later.
And she magically disappears, and Willow's like, did I do that? And I'm like, yeah, you did it.
Yeah, you're cool, Willow, because Rodin did it. Yep,
he did it. He's got the book in his hand, and he summoned her forth. So anyway, she's all like, whoa, where the truck am I? And Faith is blown away because she's in the background watching Buffy just appear, and she's like, oh man, she's here, and I have no prep time to talk this girl down. Because in Faith's mind, she thought that if she just had a little time to be in with the girl, to talk her down, say, look, I can lead you down a different path, you know, she could have led her away from Buffy, which was kind of the goal. I mean, despite everything Buffy has done, Faith sees the same thing Giles does, is that Buffy's worth saving.
Right.
So here we see Faith and Genevieve. Genevieve's got this wicked ass double-bladed sword.
It's
all right,
a big ass broadsword. It's like bigger than Genevieve.
It's bigger than her. And she's like, "Look, just sit here, watch the show."
And she pulls it out of a suit of armor that's just chilling
Yeah,
because she lives in a
night.
fucking castle,
Yeah.
just like Buffy.
It's just like mine.
And it's no big deal. So Buffy's over here yelling at Roden because he's the only person in sight. She's like, "Look, man, you're about to get messed up."
And then
Because-
Genevieve comes along and she's like,
Swinging her sword.
"Hi, bitch." And yeah, so Buffy and Genevieve start fighting it out, and Buffy does like my favorite thing that Buffy does. Like Buffy's signature move is a headbutt. She headbutts the shit out of people all the time. She's like, bam. Like remember when she went to college and that one vampire chick Sunday like stole all her fucking shit, and she was like, oh blah blah blah. She's like, I'd like to answer that question with a headbutt. Like Buffy's. It's like her signature move. And basically, she and Genevieve start fighting about, you know, the idea that girl power was started by the Spice Girls and whatnot. And she's like, they were British and you're supposed to be all about girl power. But
Yeah, and you're a vampire slayer and you're not hanging out with me. You're trying to kill me.
This is about girl power. This is not about picking up guys. This is about girl power. Have you got girl power, Eden? Yeah.
Well, that's exactly what I was going to ask you about, because I know you represent girl power. Tell us about it.
It's about spreading a positive vibe, kicking it for the girls,
Having
and
a laugh.
yeah.
And it's a pretty good fight for the most part. I mean, it's fine.
Yeah, and it looks like Roden's about to throw some juju on her when Buffy has the upper hand. And what does Faith do? She does the worst possible thing and jumps out.
Well, the big thing is here, Buffy gave all of these women power all over the world, and Genevieve is like, oh, see, this is fun. Like, fighting you is fun, because you're good at this. The other Slayers I've killed, they didn't put up much of a fight. And Buffy's like, wait, you're using the power that I gave you to kill other Slayers? Oh, bitch, you gon' die. And so basically, Buffy's going to do exactly what Giles sent Faith to do. The only difference is, see, just like with Faith, Buffy has no problem killing this girl.
Yeah, because...
But Giles didn't want her to have to kill a person.
Yeah.
He wanted to keep her clean.
That was Faith's job.
Yeah.
Anyway, so she jumps out and Buffy's like, Faith? And Genevieve's like, Faith?
What's a Faith?
And so she runs and grabs Buffy and grabs her so hard they rush out the window nearby and fall into the pool.
Yeah, and so Buffy's like, oh, so you decided to start an evil Slayer club. Well, the fuck am I not surprised? And so Buffy, of course, thinks that because this chick was trying to kill her and Faith is there, like, Faith must be in on it.
If you got the fleas of a dog and you smell like a dog, you're going to be thought of as a dog. So she's like, she's trying to talk her way out of it, and Buffy's not having any of it. She's like, look, Giles brought me here. And she's like, no, you're lying. Anyway, they start having this pool fight, and she just starts having this epiphany. She's like, look, I'm tired of being the villain, and I just want all this to end, and you're always the hero, and this is just a bunch of crap. And she's like, you know what? Fuck it. I'm just gonna never forget how deep you cut me. Talking about when she stabbed her, you know, in the side.
When she murdered her.
And anyways, she's now mildly drowning her in this one scene. I think it only lasts for a second before she realizes, like, look.
Yeah, and Faith is like
up.
all these voices in her head. They're like telling her like she's the bad one. She ruins everything. Like you're always the shitty one whenever she's around, and you could just end it now. And then she pulls Buffy out of the water and she tells Buffy to shut up. But she's not telling Buffy to shut up. She's telling her post-traumatic stress disorder version of herself that's always in her fucking head to shut up. And Buffy's like, what are you talking about? And right when they're about to start like talking it out and dealing with the fucking problem at hand,
Willow brings her back. Apparently, before she brought her back, it was 2 alpacas and a farmer. But you know, Willow's always funny, and we love Willow for that.
This woman?
So she's like, get me Giles.
Meanwhile, back
She's
in
sitting
the shitstorm.
Yeah, she's sitting over there in the pool of water all by herself, alone, and Genevieve's like, you let her go, didn't you? And she's like, I thought you were a friend, and she's got this wicked double-bladed axe, battle axe.
Yeah. So now that Genevieve is all gonna kill Faith, we get into Buffy the Vampire Slayer Season 8, issue number 9. It is our final issue in the No Future for You arc. It's No Future for You Part 4. We got this really beautiful cover of Faith, and she's like all around the fire, and she's setting the dress on fire. And I just said this to you, but I was super convinced that this is where Faith dies. Like, Faith dies here because we've got the new Buffy comics, and we've got Faith, and it's all about like Faith kind of like redeeming herself and shit like this, and trying to save Buffy and all this extra.
And it'll all end with her getting stabbed in the gut.
Right. I was
again,
like, this is where Faith dies. We need to get rid of her. There's too much baggage with her, and we need to focus on Buffy and the new Slayers and all that good stuff. So let's watch Faith die.
So it starts with a flashback, and it starts with the mayor, and he's having a little tete-a-tete with her. She's having this little narrative talking about being an evil scumbag, and he's talking about all the hard work she's done, and his dead wife would have appreciated having a child like her. And she's feeling sort of this bond with the mayor at this time, back when the mayor was her one and only friend and person to look up to, and she was totally okay with her being a Slayer, but he was also leading her down that path of, look, killing's okay, and that's what I want you to do.
Trash.
And so this is actually the day before graduation day. Remember when he gives her this dress to wear to graduation? Mm-hmm. And this is, again, like the in season 3, the point of the mayor and Faith was kind of to juxtapose the relationship between Buffy and Giles. Like, Giles, he was willing to give up everything to protect Buffy. You remember when they put her through her cruciamentum and they took her powers away and all that good stuff?
Yeah.
And Giles literally gave up his job. He gave up his entire identity as like being a watcher to protect Buffy. And here's the mayor, and he's doing the exact opposite thing. He's basically putting Faith's life on the line,
front and center,
to pursue his own ends, right?
Yeah.
And now Faith kind of saw it as love back then. Like, you know, she's talking about how he was a snake, he's a dog, but, you know, it's hard to like look back at her time with him and not feel anything but loved by him.
Because that's what he was. He was loving her in his own way, but it was not the kind of love you would want.
Okay.
You know what I'm saying?
Wake up.
So we start with the next page, and it's Rodin, and he's like, look, Lady Genevieve, finally, you're going to kill this girl. What I said all along.
We need to get rid of her.
Yeah, so she's throwing around this battle axe, and she's talking shit to Faith Hope, like, oh, I can't believe you did this. Like, you sit here and you literally just played into my life. And Faith's kicking her ass, threw her in the garden house, whatever. And
I will say, like, he was right about her.
yeah, he wasn't wrong. I mean, but she also was feeling some type of way about Genevieve. She felt that relation to her. You know, she saw that she was doing this, and like I said, she pitied her. She really just wanted the best for this girl, but she never really had a chance with this guy leading her, you know, in the way that he was. So she's talking about how she's a betrayer and how she really doesn't care about other Slayers, and her agenda for being queen has been thwarted once again by her so-called friend. And she's like, look, I didn't ask for any of this. And, you know, she's like, I should have listened to Rodin. And they're pretty much having this wicked battle scene through the whole way out.
I love this one frame where she's talking about how Rodin is her friend and how Faith has probably never actually had a friend. And when this one panel, it's Faith's eye, and we see the reflection in her. We see what Faith is seeing while we're seeing her see it with her very eye, and it's Genevieve coming at her. And the idea that Genevieve is coming at her saying, you've never had a friend, it just goes back to that idea of like what Faith was talking about in issue number 3 at the beginning, like, this is friendship, or number 2, whatever.
Yeah.
Like, this is friendship, like someone trying to kill you. Like, Faith can't make friends, and this chick is telling her, nobody wants to be your fucking friend.
We're not good friends.
So we jump back to Giles, and he's trying to thwart everything, and The troll gnome, whatever, he's giving it his all. And he's like, look, it broke my hammer. I'm out. You know, I can't do anything. So he gets a call from Willow, and he's like, oh, thank goodness, someone I can really talk to. But it's not Willow. It's just her phone. And it's Buffy, and she's wringing water out of her hair. And she's like, look, you didn't tell me you're dealing with Faith, and you didn't even tell me about it. Giles is like, nope, I didn't. I didn't want you to have anything to do with it. And he's like, no, explain yourself now. And she's like, why haven't you told me? Why don't you want me to be a part? Why this?
And Giles like, bitch, I don't have time for this. I need to help Faith.
Yeah. I don't want you to have anything to do with this. And she's like, wow, I'm hurt. And Willow's like, is everything okay? And she's like, look, just here's Giles. Give him whatever he wants. And she's walking away, being all lonely and talking about how she needs some alone time and all that's all she ever gets. And we jump back to the fight scene, and she's still talking about how piece of shit Faith is. And Faith is just throwing back the words that she can, like, you know, she knows best.
And also, like, Faith is trying to tell her, I've been trying to tell you this whole time, like, Warlock dude does not have your best interest at heart. Like, get your shit together. And she's like, oh no, I'm going to throw these garden shears at you and tell you that he's my best friend and he loves me.
Yeah, he knows I can handle myself. You know, he trusts me. It's like, yeah, well, maybe he does and maybe he doesn't.
And she tells her to wake the fuck up.
And kicks her in the stomach all the way
to the battle axe that's stuck in the tree because Genevieve got it all stuck in the tree when she was trying to kill Faith. Like, I mean, if you try and murder people, like, don't be surprised when they accidentally murder you.
I think she was just trying to kick her ass to prove a point. But,
yeah.
You know, it really couldn't have ended with anything but death. I mean, we don't want Genevieve coming back to...
Yeah, and it's like almost sad when Genevieve dies because it's like, that could have been Faith.
Yeah.
Like, Buffy really could have murdered her. Like, I'm all on the train that, like, Buffy murdered her in her mind, but she didn't actually murder her. But if she actually had murdered Faith, this is what it would have been like for her. Like, to actually deal with the fact, like, oh, fuck.
Yeah, but no one feels sorry for Genevieve, just like no one would have felt sorry for Faith.
And Faith feeling sorry for Genevieve is really her kind of dealing with being able to feel sorry for herself. Like, she's basically been told by the entirety of the Buffyverse, like, don't feel sorry for yourself. We don't feel sorry for you. You made these choices. But, like, she was a girl.
Yeah,
Think about the choices that you made when you were 19, right?
I mean, I didn't think that they were very, you know, life-altering, but I wasn't a slayer either. I didn't have to make hard decisions that affected not only me, but anyone that walked around me or was with me. Like we saw in the show. But also,
you had to make decisions that affected your life and your son's life, like, and I'm sure, like, just with every parent and just like with every fucking person, like, the things that you do that you're not proud of, you can learn from and get past and all that good stuff. And so, like, nobody when you're Faith in season 3 at being 17 years old, like, we can't hold, like, teenagers and fucking children accountable per se. And we can hold them accountable, but we can't say, you'll never learn from your mistakes. You'll never get better. And so this is kind of Faith realizing, just like me, this girl had a chance to be better. And I just ended all of those chances.
Any opportunity that she could have had.
Yeah.
But what does Rodin do? He takes it as an opportunity. He's like, well, I obviously backed the wrong girl, and you're the leader. Like, she was a means to show me that you were what it's all about because you just smashed her like a china plate.
The slayer to slay all slayers.
So he's like, look, I'm going to help you, and we're going to work together. And he takes this book that has the Twilight symbol on it, which I don't know, but I think it's going to have some meaning later down the road. And he just hands it to her in her hands. And she looks up and she's like, thanks for the book, you know, and ends up hitting him with it. Because she's...
Thanks, but I ain't much of a reader.
And smacks him in the jaw. Yeah, pretty much.
Get out, get out, get out! Get out, get out, get out! Get out, get out, get out!
So, yeah, again, like we talked about earlier, Rodin the rodent.
Yeah, Rodin the rodent. He uses some of his magic woo-woo and calls for some dirt to make a fist and grapple her.
You know what it looks like? It looks like the Thing from the Fantastic Four. It looks like it's clobbering time.
Yeah, it's clobbering time, and she's right there in the thick of it. So, and she's about to get swallowed by this hand, and she's smiling, and Rodin's like, what the hell are you smiling about? And you can see Giles standing behind him with the garden shears, and stabs him in the back, and suddenly the thing hand just disappears because
when you break your concentration, your spells go to shit.
Yeah, absolutely.
So again, like we talked about, Faith throws the book to Giles. Giles opens up this force field situation, but it's not like a force field outside. It's a force field that grows from within Rodin, and he again goes Chris Black.
Yeah, he's Rodin confetti.
What did you call it earlier?
Rodin confetti.
Yeah, it's
paper mache right there.
Ugh.
To bits, and it lands all over Giles, and he's like, we're done. They've got the book.
So it's basically
2 dead bodies, and
mission accomplished.
They're rolling out. So you see him back there. So that we cut scene to their apartment, or to her apartment.
No, it's Giles'.
Sorry. Yeah, it's really nice there. You see that little vampire in the baby picture?
Oh, it's like a Nosferatu looking vampire.
Baby. You see that?
That's cute. I never noticed that.
And he's like, look, I held up my end of the deal. Here's your passport. Here's your belongings. You know, you're free to go and do what you want. You help me out. And she's like, look, I don't know about you, but playing social worker to the Slayers is maybe where I could walk a few bad girls back from the brink. Now, what this is saying to me is that she's been there on the other side. She's been on the bad side of things. She knows what it's like to be the hated person.
Right.
And
she doesn't want anybody else to have to go through that.
She doesn't want to have anyone else. If she can do something about it, she's going to go out there and do it. So she's not leaving just yet. And she's making this big, long monologue. And Giles is just sitting there, and he's thinking. And he's like, and she's like, oh, well, you think it's stupid, don't you? And he's like, no, I really think I just want to come along with you.
Yeah, because...
And she's kind of shocked by that. But she's like, look, you know, Buffy's obviously got all the people she needs, and we're looking at it from another side. We could pull forces that we don't have yet. So why don't we just hang out and become a team? And she starts talking about, we're just the 2-man band going to we're just our own team. And she's like, I guess we're on our own. And he's like, yeah, it would appear so.
So before we get to what happens next, let's like really talk about like Giles and Faith and this whole idea of them like teaming up and whatever. It goes back to what I was saying about them being able to relate. And it's like with the middle child and all that good stuff, like Faith doesn't belong anywhere. She doesn't belong anywhere. And she's found a space that she can occupy. Like she can actually
fit into
like
where
no
she's
future
needed.
For no future for you is the title of the arc, but that's not necessarily true. Like maybe her future won't be anything like Buffy's. Maybe her future won't be anything like these new girls. But she can forge her own path. She can create a space for herself. That's part of what...
Well, she saw a need that needs to be filled, and she's the perfect person for the job. She's got all the attributes that are needed. She's a badass. She won't take any shit. And unlike Buffy, she's willing to go the distance that some are not.
Yeah, but it's part of what Buffy created. Like, she said, I want you all who can be Slayers to be Slayers. And now you have a choice. Like, you have a choice to be something more. And this is Faith's something more. It's not Buffy's. It's not these other girls. It's somewhere in the middle, but it's valuable. And the fact that she didn't really have a place to be, and the fact that Giles, in the same respect, because he's basically like the last Watcher, the fact that he doesn't have this space to occupy, he wants to go in and explore that space with Faith. And it really makes sense that these two characters who had no defined role are defining roles for themselves, and they're kind of like blazing a new trail. And I think that we'll see, like, moving through the Buffy the Vampire Slayer season 8 and on comic books, the Giles and Faith relationship is something really beautiful. It is stellar to behold, and they mean things to each other that Faith and Buffy can't mean to each other, and that Buffy and Giles can't mean to each other, because it goes back to the idea of them being peers, because they are both struggling to find identity. Like, Buffy's always trying to find identity, like, be cookies, you know?
Yeah, but everyone's life is focused around it, and I wonder what Dear Dear Buffy has to say about it.
Dear Dear Buffy. She's speechless.
Anyway, this is our new cast member.
Oh yeah, this is Dear Buffy.
Dear Buffy before, yeah. And she's got a lot to say, but you know...
She just...
It's just too much for her to handle right now.
It's okay, Dear Buffy.
Buffy, fabulous superhero.
So anyway, let's talk about Twilight.
Let's talk about the final ending of this arc over here. So, you see a helicopter approach and a military woman gets off and she's wearing the brand of Twilight on her hand and she's like, look, I come in peace, whatever the secret password is, I'm on it. I need to talk to you. And it's the Floating Boots guy.
Floaty Boots. Mr. Floaty Boots.
And they're like, look, our assets are down. They got killed. And he's like, no. We actually did exactly what we were supposed to. He's like, what do you mean we did? We pitted Slayer against Slayer, and pushed even the victors to remove themselves from chessboard. So what he looked at it as is the strongest.
We don't know that it's a he. We don't know what's behind the Twilight mask.
He, she, whatever the mask
Twilight is.
Whatever Twilight is, it's obviously the frame of a man, but whatever. We'll get into that later.
Well, there's this breastplate, see?
Yeah, and it looks kind of like a man's breastplate.
Right, but that could be covering up something else.
Okay, well, we'll see.
Anyway,
so
basically, Twilight's like, don't you see, this is all my plan. Don't you see, like, I got
put a wedge between these people and get them away from Buffy. So Buffy's, in a way, we look at it, even though they're going on their own, Buffy's left vulnerable, and of course it's all about Buffy, so...
Right, and because what is Buffy's most valuable asset? What does Buffy love more than anything in the world?
The people around her.
Giles. Well, aside from Dawn, it's Giles.
Yeah.
Like, Buffy loves Giles. Giles is her dad. Remember when it looked like he was gonna die, when the knight dudes, the Knights of Byzantium, like, stuck the javelin through him, and he was like, definitely gonna die. Buffy was like, fuck this. Let's get Giles some help. I don't care if we're at war. There are rules in war. We need to fix Giles.
Yeah.
So, like, Twilight basically made it so that Faith, Buffy's, like, guilt, and Giles, who is, like, her everything, are leaving. And they're gonna do their own thing, and the one thing that Buffy won't have is her fucking watcher.
Watching her back.
I can't do this alone.
And so...
Just a bunch of newbie slayers.
And so...
And Willow. It's pretty cool.
The lieutenant chick, she says, Buffy still lives to fight another day, and Twilight says, let her have the day, Lieutenant.
Night falls soon enough.
And we see that it's basically right about that time.
Twilight is what it's shown in the picture as the sun setting. And that's pretty much the end of this arc. We're going to go ahead and he's going to show me the cover for the segue that leads into the third arc.
This issue made it into my top 5 Buffy the Vampire Slayer Season 8 issues. There's a video for that. I'll try and remember. Editor Preston, hey, put a link in the description. It is Buffy the Vampire Slayer Season 8, issue number 10. It's Anywhere But Here. And it's got Buffy, and she is riding on Willow's back as they fly through the British countryside.
I bet it's a whole Buffy and Willow thing.
It is a whole Buffy and Willow thing. And it is fucking gorgeous cover, and it's written by Joss, so you know it's going to be good. And so yeah, that's what we've got next. But Tüz, what did you think of Anywhere But, or No Future for You?
I thought that it was really good to bring Faith back into the scene because it's an asset that the comics can use versus where we kind of left her in the show, where she broke out of prison at that time to help her, but she wasn't really anyway, and the comics are kind of giving her a way to come back and be useful into this world. Not only just because to be seen as the bad guy, but to be seen as a good guy for once, because I think that this will actually play out for her benefit later on down the road is what I'm feeling. And as far as Giles goes, I feel like Giles thinks Buffy's got it all covered. You know, she's off worrying about Twilight and the Warriors and the girls, but she's not thinking like, oh, what about Giles? Oh, what about this and that? She's got her own problems, and Giles doesn't feel as much as needed. So he's kind of being a surrogate father to Faith, and right now helping her fight her battles, because here he sees this diamond in the rough.
Like Buffy
deal.
doesn't need him kind of deal, and Faith needs him.
Yeah, absolutely. Beautiful.
And so the thing we talked about when we recorded this the first time, but weren't actually recording, is
that happened.
I like the idea that Genevieve is not just a shadow for Faith and everything that Faith was going through. She's really a shadow for Buffy. Like we talked about, like Genevieve has all this privilege, and she has like a castle, and she has like the wealth of the world around her. She has like these very worldly powers, and by killing Genevieve, she actually gets to, on some level, kill Buffy the way that she like
wanted to
at a certain point
it was
in her
kind
life.
of, I think she kind of killed the part of herself,
but she kills both. It's like she killed that part of herself, and she felt bad for
the repercussions
for
that
making that
followed,
decision.
yeah.
But she also finally got to kill Buffy, and she realized it doesn't feel as good as she thought it would. You know what I mean?
Yeah, it's pretty sad taking a human life.
Yeah, and especially someone who's supposed to be, you know, your sister, somebody who's supposed to be your friend,
Someone you confide in and look out for.
someone that you can honestly relate to. Because Buffy and Faith, when all of the like friction happened between them, like they were the only two people in the world who could really like fucking get it. And now we have this wide net of women who can really get each other and like work together and do the damn thing. But what we're seeing all throughout season 8 so far, we saw it in the opening in The Long Way Home, like these girls just can't fight together. And we saw in this one, like Faith and Genevieve couldn't get along, and then Buffy and Faith still couldn't get along. And so that's this really big through line of like Buffy created this connection for all of them to have, but they can't really grab it and hold on to it and make it meaningful. It's just kind of
there, but it's nothing substantial.
Yeah, it's intangible. They can't really have that
There's
connection.
an idea of camaraderie, but it can never truly show itself.
Exactly.
Because there's so much other stuff in the way. And I also feel like this is kind of how the short version of how Faith did Buffy, because she too was trying to be Buffy's friend when in the long run she was against Buffy.
She was jealous of Buffy.
Yeah, and then here we
Just
are
as
with
Genevieve is
Yes.
jealous of Buffy. She says that she's got all this power and I want it.
Power. I have it. They don't. This bothers them.
And the thing is, like, Faith at this point in her life, she wanted to take that out that Giles gave her. She wanted that out. He said,
She wanted to
here,
make a
I've
new
got
name,
I've
yeah.
got a shiny key to a new life and you can have it. Like, Faith doesn't really want this power. Like, it did some really bad things to her life. But at the end, rather than give that power away, she says, I'm going to use that power for something that nobody has told me to use it for something that I believe is worthy. And I think that's where the Faith character really turns. You remember it?
Yes, shedding. She's like an onion. She has many layers, and she's shedding a new skin.
You remember how when Faith came back, she asked Buffy why she was protecting Spike. She's like, what are you, the bad Slayer now?
Mm-hmm.
Am I the good Slayer now? I think this is where we really start to see that Faith is the good Slayer now. And it's going to be really fascinating to see Faith's progression through. I love
it
Faith.
for sure.
So did you have a favorite part?
I think my favorite part was when she let Buffy out of the water and was really just trying to give in and be like, look, I don't want to fight. I want to have this heart-to-heart with you. But it was, not meant to be. And I love that she could have given in and killed her right then and there, and Willow would have worked back a dead body. But she didn't. She decided to take the high road and gave Buffy an opportunity not only to live, but to realize, like, hey, look, I had the opportunity to kill you, and I didn't.
Yeah.
And that's what my favorite part was. What about you? What was your favorite part?
My favorite part... There's so much because I just love Faith. But I think my favorite part is the end. I really like the interplay between Giles and Faith and the fact that they can really see each other and relate to one another. I think that that them embarking on this path together is really important. I mean, it's kind of like because I know what's coming, you know?
Yeah.
But just going back to their discussion in the dining hall when he's trying to explain the forks and stuff to her, like that part and in the very end, like those moments between Giles and Faith, they really explored this new level to their relationship that we had never really touched upon before, and I think that's really smart. And this book is being written, like this whole arc is being written by Brian K. Vaughan, who is like comic book royalty. Like Brian K. Vaughan has written for a shit ton of books. Like pretty much if you name like a big title, he's probably worked on or near it. And so I think that what Vaughan does in this one is he does a really great job of capturing Faith's voice. And there are just a couple little things that I wanted to show you. Mm-hmm. We have these different variant covers, right? And so here's like the cover for the trade, mm-hmm. like the TPB, with all of the issues kind of locked in together. Mm-hmm. And it's Buffy and Faith, and they like have the same like situation, but they're not the same. And then like these are whatever, they're all in fancy fucking dresses or what the heck ever. But I really like this one because you remember The Avengers? It was like an old British TV show about like the secret agents. Mm-hmm. So I love this Giles and Faith dressed up as the Avengers. You remember they did a movie of it with what's his name?
It looks like some Charlie Angel stuff.
Well, it was Uma Thurman and Reese. Oh, what the fuck is that? The British guy. Anyway, you remember that movie where like Sean Connery was building like a weather machine to like take over the fucking world or some shit? Yeah, like that's the Avengers. That's who they're dressed up as right here. It's super cute. True. I love it. But so yeah, that's pretty much all we got for you today, Planet Earth.
So go ahead and tell us what you think in your comments.
Yeah, be sure to like, comment, share, subscribe, and as always, question. I'm Preston L. Young.
And I'm Tüz.
And you can come right back here to the Buffyngton Post anytime for Buffy the Vampire Slayer reviews, Buffyverse discussions on the other Slayers, more History Buff. And more. I'll be doing viewer feedback and predictions for Buffy the Vampire Slayer Season 12, issue number 3 as far as viewer feedback, but issue number 4, which is like the end of the fucking world.
Yeah, but I won't be able to watch it because I'm doing this.
Yeah, she's still learning. She's doing her homework. She needs to be a history buff.
I am doing my homework. I'm so proud of myself.
You're going to be a history buff in no time.
A+ for my spare time.
Next. So, you can check out me. I'm on Twitter at VPWitty, or you can just search Buffyngton Post with a Y, not an I, common misconception. Yeah, you'll hear more from me and Tüz and our new friend, Dear Buffy.
What are we to do without Dear Buffy?
I love Dear Buffy.
She's adorable.
She doesn't say much, but she has a real presence.
Yeah, she's such a drag.
Yeah, she's a real drag. And hard-headed. Anyway, hope you're having a great 2018 so far, everybody. Have yourself a great day today, and we'll see you next time.
Bye.
God save the Queen, the fascist regime. It made you a moron, potential hate bomb. God save the Queen, she's not a human being. There is no future.
That was fun. I like it.
Nice.
I think we did a good job. The most ready I've ever seen you.
I'm so ready.
You're so ready.
I don't think you're ready for this edit. I don't think you're ready. Come on, that was funny.
That was terrible.
That was terribly funny. That was so funny.
Hi, Editor Preston. Tüz is starting off with a fucking bang.
I don't think you're ready for this edit. I don't think you're ready for this. And you can use this in all your video, baby.
Do you think this edit will end up on Reddit?
I don't know. Is Reddit edit ready?
I don't know. I've never really played Reddit. Did you play Reddit? Planet Earth?
I don't know. Robert Reddit's a lot.
He seems like the Redditing type.
Yeah, he's like, he spends a lot of his time on Reddit, actually.
Really?
Yep.
That actually makes all the fucking sense.
Well, when, you save up money to go to the movies, go out to the movies.
How long is LJ in town?
Joy actually just got in Virginia today.
Oh, so she's not.
So she's not. But Mom's birthday was yesterday.
Oh, happy birthday.
She's a big 5-0, man.
Oh.
Yeah, and my air went out yesterday.
Mm-hmm.
So, yeah, they had to come by and see me. Impromptu visit. Happy birthday, Mom. Thanks for coming by. Fix my shit.
Love you.
Appreciate it.
For fixing my air.
Love you. Minutes. 3, 2, 1, let's go.
This is gonna be the whole video, just like us, not even talking about this bitch. Alright, you ready to do this?
Okay.
Are you ready?
I don't think you're ready for this edit. I don't think you're ready for this.
Cause my edit's too delicious for you, babe.
That's how we do things. Sorry. I keep thinking these are sunglasses.
Once upon a time they were, until one of the lenses popped out, and I was like, well, it looks like I've got a new pair of Fred glasses.
Yeah, you do.
Alright. 1, 2, 3. Hello. Let's do that again.
Okay.
We're gonna push record. Test for goddamn sound and motion.
And this isn't gonna happen again, okay, Editor Preston? You better...
We're definitely
do your
fucking
job.
recording this time.
Look, if you look down there, you'll see that we're obviously recording. And it is the
shit.
mayor.
We gotta start all the fuck over.
See what you did, Editor Preston? See what you did?
Hey, Editor Preston, you're gonna thank me for that shit later, because that shit was loud AF.
You're not welcome.
Alright.
Whatever. Can I go?